literally our factory was on fire, and myself and my staff had to run in and grab all the stock and start running out with it, and we somehow managed to save everything.
Wait, so hold on. Your factory was on fire.
It was on literal fire.
And did you manage to get everything out?
We got everything out.
So, but it cost 2 people or something, or
Luckily, nobody died. just Jill's face is hideously deformed, but she'll survive. She found a guy that is attracted to that.
Wait, who's Jill?
She's imaginary. Nobody got hurt in this instance, but it was just extremely fortunate because it wasn't. I'm not always there at this factory.
Okay.
And it just happened as we were there. I smelled something, and there was an electrical short circuit, and then we could see a fire, and then the stock was on the other side, and it was like, guys, there's a fire forming, and it's like up the wall. We're like, quick, remove everything, and we're going just like grabbing clothing, running out in the street.
With all the clothing and everything.
All the clothing.
But you managed to save everything. And how far in the business was this? Like what did you do?
This was 5-6 years ago. It's
5,
almost
6
like
years.
a blur. I'm like surprised I didn't remember that quicker.
Well, the most surprising thing, Jeff, is you have one of the biggest, if not the biggest, brick and mortar South African sporting brand. If I say it correctly, maybe you can say it a lot better. What is like? You have a better way of putting it.
Fitness apparel, athleisure.
Yeah. So the biggest in South Africa, which is something you can be very proud of.
Thank you, kind sir.
No worries, kind sir. Kinder sir. And today, I do manage to find people in the sauna to talk to, and we had such an interesting conversation, and I was wondering where I could possibly use my amazing mind to help you, and where we could share our opinions based on business and stuff like that. So we have a full hour laid out of interesting conversations that are ahead of us, one of which was indeed the fire in the hole.
Fire in the hole.
So tell me, Jeff, like what made you start this business? Just to start with, like, you probably started as a kid, wanting to have more in life, but then suddenly you're like, hey, you know what? Fuck it. Let me just start a fitness apparel brand.
Be more, do more, have more. Well, when we started 13 years ago, it was still, do you remember Ed Hardy?
No.
No.
I'm kind of
before your
young.
time.
Yeah, I was.
Let's see. Ed Hardy. Ed Hardy was actually a massive international brand where they had like these skulls. It was like rock chic, they called it. And like diamantes. Do you know Affliction?
Affliction. You're just shooting blanks right now. I'm sorry.
Okay. These are actually quite big brands. Okay, I guess they were. But see, the markets and the trends change so drastically and quickly. I guess like with disruption. So when we started 13 years ago, there was this big kind of rock chic, like big graphic prints. And so that's when we started. That's what we started with. These like big skulls and like diamonds on the skulls. These like t-shirts like that rock stars would wear.
So you started doing that.
Yes.
Because you just got inspired by everything that happened around you. But what made you do it? Did you just want to make money? Did you see an opportunity? Like, what was the reason for you to start building a clothing brand? Because not everybody just thinks about that.
True. I personally was a model at the time, but like the world's shortest, ugliest model. So I wasn't that successful. And then
Wait, you weren't successful as being the shortest and ugliest model?
No, surprisingly not.
So you were an actual handsome and good model in that case?
My mom thought I was handsome.
Okay. We're going off a tangent. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah. So then actually also I went to America, where I lived in Los Angeles for a year. I went to become a star. And I was kind of close, just a lack of a social security number really shot me in the foot. So I couldn't work legally there. But just seeing all the fashion trends, and I came back to South Africa. I did have a 4-year business degree, Bachelor of Commerce in economics and stats and accounting, philosophy, politics, etc., etc. And then I was kind of into bodybuilding and fitness modeling at the time. And an ex-girlfriend of mine, she was a fashion designer. She came to me and she was like, "You're not really doing anything at the moment. Why don't we start a brand?" And that's exactly how she sounds. So I was like, okay, well, what kind of brand? She was like a menswear brand. And I was like, okay, well, I'm a man, and I wear clothing and I'm talented. No, but I just, some people just have a vision of, they can see trends where things are going, how to.
You're
bring
very
energies
easy
together.
to talk about this because not everybody is like this, right? You got to imagine that a lot of people are listening to this and they're just really are getting inspired because somebody just managed to make a beautiful and big fitness apparel brand. And what I'm trying to do is trying to dissect how your mind works so that these people that maybe have the same vision or are scared to do this vision can take the same steps to get there, and how to improve if you already have those types of things, right? So I'm just trying to think like, so coincidentally you had a girlfriend who said that you should start something, you were a model and it just happened? You weren't scared? You didn't think, hey, I'm maybe gonna lose all my money here? Or
I was definitely a little bit apprehensive, and there was some trepidation, but in life, you just got to go for things. And I think that's what I'd morphed into, the deranged way of living in life. You know, if you looked at it says born ready, there are other ones that say create a legacy, whatever it takes, never back down. These are our mottos. You know, life's short, you just got to go for it.
so you just literally just went for it, even though you might have not felt like doing it?
Fortunately, I mean, I wasn't loaded with cash back then. Although I was the primary investor. That's probably why she came to me. She knew I had like a little bit of cash. She was like, why don't you invest and start a brand with me?
So where did you get this cash initially? Because of the modeling in the US, or?
Basically, I was working as a personal trainer in a celebrity gym in West Hollywood.
So that okay.
Yeah,
that does make you some money. Yeah, okay, sure.
Yeah, it does. Especially back then, like the rates were very good.
I mean, probably still is, right?
Still is, but-
especially now. So you were fortunate enough to have a good job. You grinded it out. You saved up some money.
Yes.
Which is also a good trait to have because a lot of people your age probably would have spent it all in coke and drugs, which you probably have not done, right?
No.
I will not go into details on that. And so you made a very smart and fortunate decision to eventually building your business brand, your fitness brand. And how did that go your first year?
It was, we started off very small. It was just a sideline thing. And like I said, we started kind of more in like the rock chic style, the rock chic side. But then I was very involved in fitness and like training in the gym and doing these fitness competitions. And I could just see like the way the market was moving, that it was, you know, fitness, athleisure was, I could see it was about to boom. It hadn't actually boomed yet. Like Gymshark, Young LA,
They were all coming up.
they hadn't even started
Oh,
yet.
they weren't even, okay.
Yeah, so we started before them.
So how did you see it? So like, listen, I want to be able to spot trends, right? I want to be able to see the things before they're happening. You saw it. What made you see that?
I guess a lot of it is having the vision, but also right place, right time. I mean, I know that's something that's a famous thing that Bill Gates even said. He was in the right place, the right time, you know, Silicon Valley at that point when the computer was, you know, really being introduced to the world, and there he was. So there's a lot of fortune, luck, karmic energy from our past lives that comes through
That's what you believe, right? That you
to a large degree, because everything is kind of timing and where you. I mean, I could have been born in Ethiopia, for example.
Sure. But
I mean, not that there's anything wrong with being born in Ethiopia. Or,
you know, oh gosh, we got to cut this part. But
why?
reasons. No.
Or anywhere else. So like
So
Vietnam.
No,
Is that
but
better?
the reason why I'm asking this is because, you know, I'm just really wondering how much of the luck do you force yourself, right? So
Yes, good point.
so you probably really had a certain belief that you would make this pop off, and there you were open to see this trend. I firmly believe that if you want to make something happen, you got to believe in it, and because you're putting that out to the universe, just to say it in a very small way, you're forcing your luck. It is this not even belief, but more faith in that things will just turn out greatly, and from that, things will happen. And so you see, you were fortunate enough
Wow, well said.
to see the trends, right?
True, good point. And also, we have to be receptive and open to the universe and the messages that the universe is sending us. A lot of people kind of closed off, especially notice in this kind of day and age, in our social media age. Everybody almost thinks they know everything, so they're kind of closed off. If you know, like if somebody on the street just says to them like "hello," they're kind of like, why are you speaking to me?
You know, this is actually a very interesting topic. Most people, because they're socially anxiety. No, wait, hold on. How do you say?
Social anxiety.
They have social. So most people have social anxiety because they don't even talk to themselves or look outside properly.
Yes.
They're so stuck in the loop of being on their Instagram or on anything else that they forget to talk to themselves completely. They can't even have a proper conversation with themselves because every hard conversation they're having, they're just going to look on their Instagram because that gives them dopamine or TikTok or whatever. And if you're watching this on TikTok, get off your phone. But you know what I mean? And that is the big issue because you, back in the day, probably, like, how long ago is this? You probably didn't even have a
12,
smartphone.
13 years ago.
Exactly. You
Well,
didn't.
we had smartphones, but I mean, Facebook hadn't even started yet.
Yeah, fair. So you had all of this time to think, to reflect, to be there, to be with yourself,
Yes.
to think about what you actually want to do. But, you
And
know,
we had to phone people. Like, you want to make a business deal, do something, get on the phone and call them, and now it's all messaging. And if you call somebody now, they're like, why are you calling me?
Nah, I think still, like, honestly, because my job has been sales all of the time. I teach people to sales. Like, I mean, secret of life is people, right? Especially you should notice because you're in business, you like talking to people. You know how important people are because people have all the keys of life you need. If you're able to give value to a person, that person will give you anything he or she has. Right? And it goes back because the reason you are at this point, because you were probably very good with people and because you were giving your value in the ways you could have given to them. And because you were giving your value, these people are giving what they have to offer back to you because you've been giving your value to them. Secret of life.
Very well said.
Thank
Can
you.
I just say that T-shirt looks amazing on you?
Thank you. Thank you. It just makes me be a lot more articulate today, I guess. Thanks. I do like green, actually. And actually, funny story. I met you in a sauna. And I'm not sure if I'm not gonna say it correctly or whatever, but he said if you guess my age correctly, I'll give you a T-shirt. And usually I'm polite and do everything a lot less than it usually is. This time I just went for a wild guess and I was right. So thank you for your T-shirt, Jeff.
Guessed 41. That was impressive.
Oh yeah. I didn't want to say it because I don't know if it's like whatever, but like, hey, you're confident about it. That's the most important thing, right?
Yeah.
As long as you own whatever you're having, that's the best thing you can do. And I feel like 41 is still very young. My dad is almost 80 and he's still rocking and go. It's double your age, actually. So
I hope I make it till 80.
well, based on how you're living, you probably will, right?
Possibly.
So coming back to your business, you were getting momentum, I presume so, right? And this is still a few years back. What you saw the trends, you were hopping on it. What made you different, or what made that trend wave go well?
We were fortunate that we were literally the first South African fitness apparel brand. So when we started bringing out these vests and T-shirts, there was no other South African brand.
Yeah.
We only imported Nike and Reebok and Adidas, etc., etc. And there weren't even that many of those brands.
Sure.
And we always had a very proudly South African kind of energy, and we were saying, we are the proudly South African brand, support local, support South Africa. So South Africans can be quite patriotic, so they kind of got behind that. Like, yes, we want to support a South African brand. Why buy Nike for double the price when you can get this local brand? Support local. And still to this day, we still actually make everything locally. There have been times where we've thought, okay, we need to start producing in China, Bangladesh, Indonesia, etc., etc. But we just, eventually we probably will have to, but whenever it comes to that point, no, we want to still support local, even though it's much tougher, because the making things in Asia, everything comes out perfect and pristine and precise. And there's a lot of issues, but we believe in backing and supporting proudly South Africa.
So just a quick question, right? Why wouldn't you just go move to Asia, make it internationally easy for you, and just use the extra profits that you make to give back to the community? I mean, it's just an idea, right? That's something that I would do, especially if you can be more efficient that way. Why would you torture yourself because you want to stick to one specific idea that could basically be gone, and you could still give better support towards the community because you're just thinking a different way?
Gee, you're making a very good point there. Like I said, eventually we will have to start manufacturing internationally.
No, but I completely get you too, right? So like basically I'm here because I have a very different perspective on business. I've always been doing things online. Online has been working. I've been always working with people online. And I just find it interesting to sit down with somebody that has a brick and mortar store or multiple or the most in Africa or whatever, right? And just share my vision with you, right? So I'm also working on giving back to the community, and the community for me is everyone in the world. I'm trying to go out to use 50% of the profits of the things in the community that we're making to put in projects where I, with my hand, can fulfill them and actually help them out. But if I had to limit myself, I wouldn't be able to do those things, right? So I'm just always trying to look for, hey, there's an issue here. How can I make a solution to this issue and still come up with a better thing towards that? That's that mentality that you create for yourself if you failed a lot of times.
Which I think we both have.
Yeah, I presume so. I mean, the best entrepreneurs are created from the most failures, right? The more you fail, the more you learn, and the more you learn, the more you start to earn.
So failures aren't actually failures.
They're lessons.
Learning lessons.
Exactly.
Very important lessons.
What is one of the biggest fail moments you've had?
There've been so many. It's like hard to recall.
What is the one you learned the most of? So we can actually teach people that are listening and watching to learn from that too.
So it's easy when you're a very popular brand. It's sometimes not, I wouldn't say arrogant, but to get like on a bit of a high horse and then forget that you are still like, the brand isn't indestructible or unstoppable.
Sure.
So like there were a few times, there's a famous Heidi Klum saying, ultimately in clothing, no matter to be a successful clothing brand, ultimately it's still fashion. And there's a fashion aspect. All the top brands, they're always introducing some sort of new design. There's always some sort of new fashionable element.
Sure.
At its core, that's what makes a successful clothing brand. Even you think of Nike, Adidas, Puma, that is key to it. So sometimes you can think like, oh, we're so big and powerful, we can just do whatever we want. So there was a time where I brought out like a very kind of crazy range. Like the colors were strange. I was like, we're all powerful, I can just do whatever I want. And I brought out this like kind of strange range, strange colors, strange designs. And then all of a sudden, our clients were like, oh, we'll wait for the next range. And then I was like, okay. Thinking I'm more powerful.
Yeah.
And they're always going to support me, always going to buy.
But that's not the case.
That's not the case. Because in fashion, one day you're in, and the next day you're out.
So you could basically look at the story in two ways, right? You could either look at yourself and say, hey, I didn't get a fan base loyal enough, or I got too much of ego and thought too much of myself, and I should definitely learn that my ego is not my amigo. I think both sides are a bit of a lesson.
Yes, definitely.
If anything, the best thing that you can look at is like, if you get too much wait, hold on.
Yeah.
If you get too cocky, if you get too much of an ego with anything, you're gonna overlook things.
Yes, exactly.
And you're gonna not be able to be rational about stuff because you're emotionally thinking about stuff, and it will not be as good as it would be. Because if you're still in that fighting mentality where you're trying to do anything best you can, you will always achieve way more, and your ego has nothing to do with it because you still want to show up. And the second thing is, especially now in this day and age, fans' attention is the most important currency there is. Having people that love you, that love your brand, is so powerful because you can do so much with them. Yes. And I'm not saying this in a monetizable perspective alone, right? Sure, you can make money, but if you have a movement together, you can change the world, especially because you want to do something for the community back. So if you have this whole fan base based on power lifters, fitness gurus, whatever, right? And they're all very wholesome and into building a better brand, into building a better future for South Africa, you can actually do something, especially because South Africa needs it. You can be that one change just by being you.
Yes.
And that's the beautiful thing about having this loyal fan base. You can do anything you want with it.
And that is our whole brand ethos. We are a movement. We promote courage, loyalty, justice, and honor, which is, like you said, that is what the world needs. South Africa, especially South Africa, but even the whole world, just a way of life where we embrace and support one another.
Oh, yeah, no, keep
There
going.
it goes. So, and you're right, like that movement, and that's what we've always felt Deranged is. It's more than just a brand. It's a movement that promotes the alpha ethos of those alpha codes and of courage, strength, loyalty, and honor. Especially harking back to the golden era, or the days where if a man said he was going to do something, he did it. He was a man of his word. Now we live in an age where it's like everybody just says definitely. Oh, I'll definitely do that. I'll definitely coming. I'll definitely show up. No, definitely doesn't mean definitely anymore. I don't know what it means now.
I think it's a very South African thing.
Oh, really?
Honestly, yeah. But also, not just South Africa, but just the people you hang out with. I mean, if you choose to hang out with a bunch of pussies, like the big chance is that you're slowly turning one yourself. But if you only hang out with masterful masculine men, then big chance that you wouldn't take no for an answer and start really grinding it out, right? And that's the issue of having a bad environment, is that you start to get seeing things you don't want to see because you just are devaluating yourself for that same matter. You are very valuable. You have this very impact that you can make. You have this very big brain that you have. But because your environment doesn't show that to you, you devaluate yourself, and it doesn't let you be the person you really are. And it shows you that you're even weaker than you're supposed to be, because you're a very strong and masculine man, right? You're promoting the alpha. You're promoting everything. You are this masculine type that's out there. But because the people around you are not that, it's hard to maintain.
Very good point.
You are, what is it? Show me your friends and I show you your future.
Exactly. We are who we surround ourselves with.
100%. Especially like, man, if I just give myself an example, I get energy from people, and I just notice myself if I'm just with uninspired dumbasses all day, I'm like, oh God, I can't cope with this.
I feel exactly the same.
I hate being alone, but in those situations, I just rather be alone than surround myself with dumbasses.
That's
right?
why a lot of the time I find myself being alone.
Because you don't have those people around.
Yes.
I mean, isn't it, you have this clothing brand though. You have this fitness apparel brand that has credibility. You are in a point of influence already that should attract these people. You still don't find them. You don't find people that want to cooperate and have a right business. Or are you maybe feeling too entitled to look to those people? I don't know. I'm just pulling out balls here.
We do. It's just, it's
hard to find.
Yes, it's also it's certain mentalities. Like I noticed you said there something you quipped about South Africans who say definitely maybe it's a South African thing, and it is to a degree. You're not South African.
Sure.
I get along with so many people who are not South African, and international people. Unfortunately, it's not about stepping down on my home country. But South Africans are still a little bit small-minded, and we come from a very hurtful, painful past.
Yeah.
And it affects our psyche. If you look at our government at the moment, it's possibly the most corrupt, inept government in the world, considering our resources and the infrastructure that we did have set up, and the way they're just kind of destroying it. So that it does affect people.
Sure. But you know what? I personally think that you shouldn't be affected by your surroundings that much.
No, I agree.
You have the power to take control over your own life. You have the power to adapt yourself to what is happening to the world and use it in your advantage, right? For every fucked up thing that happens, you can use it in your advantage to make something beautiful out of it. I mean, you need rain for the flowers to start blossoming, right?
Yes.
So it is just your perspective that you have to change on these types of things. And for knowing that everything is fucked up in this country right now, you can be the voice to tell them that you can do it differently, for just being a little bit of hope in clothing. And you can show people the way. You can show people that they can be strong, because you already have this in you. And now, because you are fully embracing this power inside of you that knows that you are masculine and powerful. You have done this fucking clothing brand. You know what I mean? So you are already there. Yeah. If you embrace it, you will attract those people back because they are here. It's not like it's fucking packed here with people that are not like that. No, it's you have so much people that are probably like you that maybe you're a little bit behind or maybe even further. But you have to open yourself to it, and you have to embrace the energy that you have inside of yourself to be able to be that person that will attract those people. Because I can see you have the energy. I've talked to you in the sauna. I can see what you have achieved. I mean, you're proud owner of the biggest fitness brick and mortar brand of South Africa, right? That is not nothing. So that is a result that you have based on the actions that you've done before. If you embrace back to the systems, the action that you had back in the past, beautiful things will come back.
You're an inspiring man.
Thank you. I'm just going from what I'm seeing here, man, Jeff, but appreciate it.
I feel like I want to get out there and conquer the world.
Let's go. I'm glad I could inspire.
Spread the message.
I'm glad I could inspire you a little bit, man.
It's like you said, when you surround yourselves with inspiring people, it rubs off. And
but that's it. Like the reason why, like back in the day when I used to live in Holland, which is a way cooler and depressed place, I had same issues. I didn't have the right people around me, and I just thought to myself, I would just be great if I had some people around that were a little bit more inspiring. So I started reading books. So one of the books became my friends. I was talking to Rich Dad Poor Dad every day. I listened to the Tony Robbins podcast. So Tony Robbins became one of my inspiring friends. And just by doing those types of things, having that person speaking in my ear each day, having that person reading off the paper each day, it made me more of an inspired person to do whatever I wanted to. And it started with that, Then you start going to business meetings to meet new people that are a little bit leveled, or you start picking up things. And the further I go in life, the more I start seeking to specific values in people to see if I like them or not, or to whatever. You've made enough money now. You've done enough other things. What is inspiring me is the value of a person. How does he look at life? What kind of opinions does this person have? And based on those opinions, I'm going to be like, hey, you're a respectable man. You have a good heart. You are genuine. You are yourself. I fuck with you. Let's go. Let's get inspired together. Let's do something.
Yeah, let's do it.
What is it that you want to do with your business right now?
Now our well, I could actually, I just thought of something not funny, but a big break was, like you said, going for things, being courageous, putting yourself out there. So when we first started, nobody knew of this brandy range. It was like, what was it? And often people are, like they can see something and be attracted to it, but there's a little bit of trepidation of like buying into it. Why should they buy into a new brand? So I literally filled like a roller bag full of samples. Well, first I cold called all these companies. Like, hey, I'm Jeff, I'm from Deranged. Like, from who? Deranged, South Africa's newest and hottest clothing brand. And like, we've never heard of it. Like, leave me alone. They weren't that rude, but that was basically the gist of it. I was like cold calling, and then nobody was really interested. So one day I filled a roller bag full of samples, and I took a flight to Johannesburg, which is the economic hub of South Africa. And I was just walking through malls, my roller bag, just rocking up at these stores. And I probably went about 30 stores over a weekend, and literally 28 kind of just like turned me away. But 2 were like, this does look quite nice. We're going to take a chance on you. And we got our first 2 purchase orders to go into these stores. So it just shows the power of putting yourself out there and believing in yourself and just taking that risk, taking that leap.
It's about that. It's about having faith, right? Like you kept on having faith, and you didn't give up. You persisted until you succeeded, and you didn't choose any other option. I mean, you could have given up like any other moment, but you didn't.
I didn't.
You didn't, and you chose to go. Did you have anything to fall back on?
No.
So you didn't have a choice.
Well, I still had some like kind of savings and.
So but like honestly, the best thing that you can do is burn your bridges. If you burn your bridges to the island, right, then you fucked. You have to conquer the island now. You have to go.
That's so true.
And that's what you did.
And I had to conquer.
You had to conquer.
And I remember I did it with I I was actually like, when I think about it now, I always had a smile on my face, even like all that rejection, guys, I was like, fine, like, thank you for your time. I'll just go to the next one.
Every no brings you closer to a yes. The
Yes.
probability to get to a yes is just so much higher every no you're getting.
Yes.
Back when I used to do sales, it was for me, nope, well, almost closer to a yes, and just kept going with a positive attitude. Attitude is something that is so powerful. And if you, like you're showing right now, you're saying, I was there with a smile because you didn't let that negativity, those no's get to you. Your perspective was, nah, fuck it. It's going to be okay. I'm going to be positive. I'm going to get there. And just because you have that attitude, you're going to eventually get there. I love that, man.
So
Like,
true.
respect for that.
Attitude is everything. Attitude of gratitude.
Attitude, gratitude, and value. Like,
Yes.
not even just your own values, but I strongly believe that if you understand what your value is positivity, right? Your value is being genuine. Your value is being wholehearted. Your value is being believing in yourself. These are all values you have in yourself. And if you see it in another person, you respect them. Because you understand your values, it's easier to connect with people. Because you understand your values, it's easier to know what your value is to give that to other people. So it's like this whole thing. Like I said before, the secret of life is people. Anything you want in life, other people have that. And all you have to be is valuable to that person to get it. And you show it. You show it with your persistence. You show it because you understand your value to go there and get it. And you've done well. I mean, look at where you are today.
Kind sir.
No problem, kinder sir.
Look, I'm sitting on a couch doing a podcast with you. So I've made it.
Yes. Yay.
Dude. And speaking of disruption,
Tell me.
this industry it's actually quite pertinent to what happened in this industry locally, but also internationally. So still about when we started up till about 8 years ago, it was all brick and mortar. It was all
Yeah, of course.
stores that you walked into and bought clothing, tried it on, bought. So there was a period 7-8 years ago where we were literally in about 50 stores across the country. 50 brick and mortar stores were like selling deranged. But then with the whole online boom and obviously COVID, Corona, the lockdown, that forced a lot of stores to close. And even with a lot of big chain stores, I'm sure you know a lot of these big chain stores internationally are closing down because there's been this whole disruption of things rapidly moving online. We have a Swedish distributor who's telling me how the malls haven't necessarily closed, but all the big chains have speak closer. They're like not necessarily closed, but everybody just shops online. And like Sweden is essentially, you could say, 10 years ahead of us. And although Africa is different, so now there has been a massive trend online. So, and we've had to go with that trend also.
After COVID, was COVID the reason you went online, or what was the reason for it?
We were already online before that, but just with COVID, that accelerated that because now everybody was stuck at home.
But were gyms still open here?
No, initially not.
So I was about like, why would people buy online fitness apparel if they like, if the gyms are? I don't know. Like maybe you just wanted to go outside, I guess. But
Like initially, they couldn't even go outside. I guess just to train at home, and people wanted some sort of retail therapy.
yeah, I guess so.
But also our brand, and it's also crossover to athleisure.
Yeah,
Like what we're wearing now. So
Sure.
it's
it does make sense. So how did you use the coronavirus in your favor then? You just went online. Did you make more money than you would have?
like we were already online, but it just it gave us that online push.
Oh yeah, that makes
Because
sense.
people couldn't go to the stores anymore.
Yeah.
So they had to order online, and like again, the retail therapies, they at home, what can make me feel better? Let me go online, buy some clothing. So we noticed, all in all, our sales revenue didn't really decrease necessarily. It kind of balanced out because now everyone was ordering online
so,
more.
So you didn't make a loss. You still made the same amount of money in Corona than you did then. Okay,
Yes.
that makes sense. So what the most beautiful things about a crisis is that there are just a lot of opportunities, and you have people, even people that own a business, they only see the problems in any situation, but COVID was actually such a big opportunity because you could have made so much more money knowing that everybody's online, knowing that maybe, for instance, nobody could go to the gym. You could have found like elastic bands or whatever that people could buy online from you so that they could work at home. You see, and the thing is that it was. Well, if COVID 2.0 happens, you know what to do, Jeff. But
that's funny because we made so much money from masks.
Yeah,
because we needed masks, so we just started buying masks, and just everybody was buying masks every day, just mask.
It isn't because the thing is, like, people don't realize that with every crisis there's a huge opportunity, but you just have to look for those opportunities, especially as an entrepreneur, as a opportunity seeker. That's what entrepreneurs are, right? They put themselves out of a paycheck to form their own money out of thin air, and you get the possibility to see different things than other people would because you're on the survival instinct, right? Especially in a crisis when everybody is taking big hits. Those are the best moments to start taking those big hits for yourself. So that's what I mean. Like, COVID happened for you. You could have went out and just looked at, hey, this is an opportunity. How can I make more money in this situation? And same as with any other thing. Like for me, when COVID hit and my marketing agency went to shit, I just started doing sales. And if I didn't do sales back then, like high ticket sales of other courses and stuff, that's what I used to do, I would not have made my course. I would have not been in the position I am today. I have made multiple 7 figures because COVID happened. And I'm not sure if that would have happened if it didn't happen.
Okay, so dinner's on you.
Sure.
And we're having the seafood platters.
I'm pretty sure you drove in with a Lamborghini, but I'll just leave that part out.
The Lamborghini Urus.
I think we're gonna take it to a close. I want to ask you a quick question. Like, if you have a lot of young people are listening to this, people that really want to make it in life, they're entrepreneurs wanting to be entrepreneurs, however you want to call them, right? If you have 2 sentences for them, wanting to start a business, wanting to make it in life, wanting to get the freedom they really want to be, what are those 2 sentences for them?
Always stay positive, be open-minded, be confident in yourself and your own skills. But also, it's very important to be realistic and to be prepared. So there still is like an apparel boom. Everybody wants to bring out their own brand, start a brand. But most of these people who want to start this brand don't have any fashion training. They don't have any marketing training. They don't have any fabric technology training, any sales training. So they just want to bring out a brand, and they find some blank T-shirts. And sure, if the branding's cool, initially it can take off a bit. But then what? How do you maintain a long-standing success?
Longevity is important.
Longevity. So my advice to them is to be prepared, have their ducks in a row, have the skills to make it a success. Build the base, build the roots of the tree before you want to bear the fruit. Especially now we live in, there's a lot of like instant gratification that people want. So they want the fruit immediately. But the first strong gust of wind is just going to blow that tree over.
So you're saying patience is important?
Yes, and to spend the first few months or years building the roots, garnering the skills, the foundation, learning about the industry, the fundamentals.
Yeah.
Before you just go into it, and then.
This is so interesting that you say so. This is literally every business owner I talk to, they're talking about the fundamentals, and it's just so important to have the set, because you don't want to crash out, like you're saying. You don't want those roots to blow away. So for every person listening, it's important to have the fundamentals of the skill you're trying to develop. It's important to have the fundamentals of the business you want to start, but also don't wait too long, because if you're not going to take the risk,
it's a balancing act.
Don't take the leap, then you're going to get there. It's a need about balance.
Sometimes you only have one shot. It's kind of like my favorite metaphor is when we're Elon Musk when we are launching to Mars. You only you get quite a few shots at it, but you want to make sure that you know, that the first shot when you take it, it's at least close to being a success, or it's quite successful. You don't want that rocket to explode. You know, so have the space station.
It depends on how much money you have, right? I mean, if you have enough money to spare, but most people don't have enough money to make a second rocket. So if you're gonna put that much money into your rocket to be able to go to Mars, be sure that rocket fucking works.
Yes, make it work.
Make the fundamentals, everything be set. Jeff, thank you for taking your time and coming to the office and having the podcast with me, man.
Thank you for seeing me, Rabin.
I really appreciate it. It was actually a fun conversation. I hope I did like learn a lot about you. I hope you learned a lot about me too.
I did. You're a very inspirational, motivational man.
I appreciate it, man.
And that's what our brand is all about. I mean, right now we even have a challenge. We have like 50 ambassadors / influencers, and they're engaged in a motivation challenge. How can they motivate others and themselves to be the best that they can be?
Oh, that's amazing, man.
So we should get you involved in the challenge.
Oh gosh. Okay. I'm getting like a fitness brand sponsor now. If it's not Nike, I don't want it. No, just kidding. Like, let's talk about it off cam. For now, everybody, thank you for listening, subscribing. If you want to know more about Jeff and D-Range, the fitness brand, and buy it in the brick and mortar stores, take the link down below. Subscribe. I think subscribing is a good thing to do, right? Yeah. If Jeff says so, if Jeff Bezos says so, you might as well do so. I really don't know what that was. I'm so sorry. But everybody it
rhymed.
It did rhyme. It did rhyme. Have an amazing day. My name is Raven. This was Jeff. And
Thanks,
we wish
guys.
you all
have an amazing day. Stay successful. And most importantly, stay alpha.